Hey, today I'm talking about three 1960s Jeanne Moreau films, and the names of those three movies are The Train, Mademoiselle, and The Yellow Rolls-Royce. First up is The Train. This is a 1964 film, and it's pretty dang great. As you can guess by the title, it is in fact about a train. But more specifically, the premise is it is nearing the end of World War II, and everyone can tell, including the Nazis. So they're trying their best to get out of Dodge. But one is like, hey, art's really cool. I'm gonna steal a bunch of really, really important art. And so he does, and puts it on a train. But the French people are like, no, that's ours. Give it back. And so the movie's about the French people attempting to get all of their important art back. It is inspired by a true story, but the true story is a little more tame. But I'm okay with that because this movie's a lot of fun. Now, much akin to an actual train, it starts off very, very slow. Like the opening scene is just boring. It's a Nazi looking at art. But eventually it picks up momentum, and once it finally really gets going, then it's great and really fun. And what's really, really cool about this movie is that they didn't do any miniatures or any like special effects like that. They did all of the stunts legitimate, and you can tell, like you can see these big giant train engines actually derailing and crashing into each other, or also like, it's a little bit of a spoiler, but there is a train yard that they legitimately blew up, and you can tell those are real bombs going off, destroying the hell out of this place. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. It just takes a bit to get going. So yes, I would totally recommend this movie. Just be prepared that the beginning isn't the best, but once it's on the rails, it goes great. Also, it's just such an interesting idea of literally hundreds of people risking their lives to save art. Like, that's such a neat idea, and like just a neat thing to kind of like think about and ponder for a bit. Also, there's lots of cool action. Next up is Mademoiselle. This is a 1966 film, and the basic premise is, I'm going to try to be a little vague just because I think that's how the movie wants it to be, but basically it takes place in a small town in France, and there is this Italian guy who comes in to do a bunch of tree chopping stuff, but wouldn't you know it, he's really attractive and maybe sleeping around with everyone's wives. So all the men don't like him and want to get rid of him, but they don't have any proof that he's sleeping with their wives or that he is connected to a series of fires that are taking place all over town. But they still blame him anyway. Jeanne plays the school teacher who is intrigued by this sexy Italian man. It's really interesting. They do a good job of kind of making it into more of a mystery. It's a quite like, so it's basically a 4 out of 5 for me. But what brought it down a bit, I think, is more so just Jeanne's character is just, she's a bit out there. And I think that's just kind of, I wasn't fully able to accept her as a person, maybe? Yeah, let's go with that. It's definitely a very interesting film. I think I maybe would have liked it a little bit more if they actually made two versions of this film, one in English, one in French. I watched the English one, not realizing there's a second version. I think I maybe would have liked it a little bit more had I seen it in French, just because there's a little fun layer to it. I do think it's still a good film and worth a watch if you're intrigued. It's kind of like a mystery, sort of thriller, definitely drama film, and it's good and a sort of unexpected ending. Let's leave it at that. And lastly is The Yellow Rolls-Royce. This is a 1966 kind of anthology film. The framing device is this 1937 Rolls-Royce that's yellow, and we see three of its owners in the lead up into World War II. It has the look of a comedy, just like the aesthetic. It seems like it's gonna be a comedy, but it's really just a straight up drama that thinks it's occasionally a comedy. And it's a drama that goes on for too long and is boring. So there's three stories. The first one with Jeanne Moreau wasn't that interesting and then just suddenly stopped. The second one with Shirley MacLaine, which I actually liked a lot, but needed to lose like 20 minutes and then it would have been great. And then the third one was trying its damnedest to be a comedy. That one's got Ingrid Bergman in it, and she's cute, but like, it's just not interesting. I will also add too that I'm not a car guy, and there's like a good section of the film that's just kind of like cool shots of the Yellow Rolls-Royce, and I'm like, this is doing absolutely nothing for me. Though I will say that in the background of one of the shots, there was a blue Rolls-Royce, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. Can we see that one? And then we never see a close-up of it. It's real sad. So yeah, I didn't really care for the movie. I just thought it was boring, and just if they're going for comedy, the comedy needed to increase a lot because it's yeah, no. I didn't hate it though. It's not in the didn't like. I like the second one. The second story was the best. I got a crush on Shirley now. But yeah, no, it's just okay. So I wouldn't recommend it. Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got The Train sitting at number 55 in the quite like section. And then after that is Mademoiselle sitting at number 64, also in the quite like section. And then bringing up the rear rightfully so is the Yellow Rolls-Royce sitting at number 106 in the meh section. And this is out of a total of 123 old movies so far this year.